Develop thorough business processes and workflows. The chances of your organization implementing something out of the box is 10%. Most companies will do some kind of configuration or customization. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on the business processes and not the system transactions, because if you make sure that you're designing the system the way that you need it to work, then you'll be able to define those gaps between the current and future states better. And by defining those gaps between the current and future state, then you'll understand what it's going to take to bridge the gap in terms of what's going to require configuration or what is going to require customization. Because both of those two items result in additional cost and could result in additional timeline scope creep. So you want to make sure that you understand what that looks like, and then that you have a good governance structure in place to approve the scope changes and the number of customizations. You don't want people to be able to just come in and ask for something and then it's approved and customizations become 50 to 75%, because that can blow your budget quickly. You want to make sure that if there's going to be a customization request, that it makes sense from a business standpoint and from a cost standpoint, and that there's an approval process to help manage them. And remember to identify and communicate changes to the business and the employees. So it's important that during these design processes, as you're working through the business process and workflows, that you're documenting the associated change impacts with those different processes, and that you're making sure to not only communicate those change impacts to the employees that it affects, but also to make sure that you're training them on the new process. That goes a long way, again, to facilitating and getting that overall buy-in. And number 10, focus on the benefits realization. Going back to that chart where you saw 66% of the companies realize less than 50% of the benefits. A lot of times, like I mentioned, it's because if you don't measure it, you won't achieve it. So if you don't set up what you want to achieve and gather a baseline, then there's no way to manage whether you did achieve it, because even if you take a future state measurement, you don't know what it was at the beginning. So make sure that you're doing due diligence in developing a strong business case that has SMART goals. Make sure that you're defining specific areas where you expect to realize the business benefits, and that in those areas you're developing key performance indicators to help track the defined benefits, and that you put a measurement plan in place so that you're able to then know when you should go back and take measurements to see whether you are actually realizing those benefits. The other key critical component of this is creating accountability for results. People want to take ownership, and you'll get a lot from them if you give them ownership. So as you're going through and setting up the benefits realization plan and what types of benefits you expect to achieve, make sure that you assign an owner to each of those benefits. So if you expect inventory turns to improve by X%, then make sure you assign someone from the supply chain to own that metric. And once you go live, make sure that you're following up with that person to see, are you actually improving by X% like you expected? Again, that person will then take that ownership and accountability to help drive that metric. And then if you reward them on it, it takes it that much further. So create that awards and recognition strategy so that people will be recognized for the improvements and taking ownership of the different benefits and the different metrics that you've assigned to them as part of the ERP implementation.